Hey, hi, Darryl.
Hi, Marion.
So
Good
happy
morning.
you're here. Good
Oh,
morning.
it feels
Hi.
good. I have my Yankee cap on. They're on a streak.
Are they? I have no
Oh,
idea, to be
yeah.
honest with you.
5 wins in a row. They were being maligned.
Okay.
And I
Okay.
just, you know,
Represent.
yes, well, that and the
Represent.
Dodgers, but shh.
Oh, yeah. Well, everyone, this is Darryl Gaines. And for those who don't know Darryl, we are really, really lucky that he's here with us. I am so excited. Darryl had to say this feels like it's been a long time in the coming, and we're finally here. So,
Yeah.
just to get us started, to get everybody sort of a little bit about you, I'm going to read. So, give me a moment. I'm just going to read a little bit about Darryl here. He was kind enough to share his bio. For more than 2 decades, Darryl has shared profound astrological insights and wisdom, guiding his clients to better understand the unfolding tapestry of their lives. Darryl's deep understanding provides invaluable clarity and awareness, helping individuals navigate life's complexities, including areas such as health, relationships, career, ancestral connections, and life's purpose. Darryl's expertise has garnered international acclaim, featuring in esteemed publications such as New York Magazine, Los Angeles Times, and Entertainment Weekly, and appearing on prominent media platforms such as BBC, MSNBC, The Sally Kirkland Show, ExtraTV, and Access Hollywood. Notably, Darryl has garnered praise from a diverse clientele, including award-winning artists in film, television, music, and the arts, all of whom laud his unwavering support and invaluable guidance. Yeah, good
Yeah.
stuff. And
And I have two Olympic gold medalists now. Who knew?
I mean, so which is the perfect segue into me reminding everyone the name of this podcast, which is Defining Success. And clearly, Darryl knows a thing or two about success. So, really looking forward to hearing that you have everything that you have to say today, Darryl.
Well, it's so good to be here.
Yeah, but I would love to hear, like, how did you get started in all of this? How did you become an astrologer?
Well, initially I was a naysayer. I didn't believe at all. I thought it was nonsense, especially in my teenage years, because I was struggling so much with fanaticism from my family's belief system with the Jehovah's Witnesses. And that really, I almost was atheist. But when I had my chart done, not only did it move me more to a spiritual understanding, but a complete understanding of who I am and where I've been. So it resonated deeply. And, when I had my chart done, the astrologer said, "Oh, you have this gift." And I
Wow.
was like, "Really?"
Wow.
And then I had another reading by another astrologer when I got back, when I started taking classes. He insisted that I was a singer, or that my voice my would bring me success.
So, how old were you when you had that first reading?
I was 18, almost 18. It was in Germany, of all places. So
And
there you have it.
yeah, how did you? I'm really curious to hear about what drew you into that. Who was this? How'd you get this reading? Because this was clearly a majorly pivotal moment of your life, and
Well,
it's something that you weren't necessarily into, but you did it. So, what was it? What got you to do that?
my daring, pioneering Aries brother, Ralph, who was very much different than anyone in my family. He went off to Vietnam, did not come back, stayed in Europe, picked up 4 languages, spoke German fluently, started a business, started a life there. But I hadn't seen him until I was at the beginning of adolescence, 12, 13. I had
Wow.
spoken to him on the phone. He would call like at 3 in the morning from Rome. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, someone outside of this restrictive life that I was living. And then when he came, he said, "You're not going to believe this nonsense that you're around. And I promise my mother that I'm not going to pay for the plane ticket, but if you get here, I'll give you the world." And he lived
Whew.
to his promise. I I saved up, went, and the rest is history.
Whoa. Wow. So your brother, Ralph, must hold a very special place in your heart.
Very much so. Unfortunately, it'll be uh, 30 years in June that he passed away. So, but I'm eternally grateful for him giving me the lens to not only the outside world, but to the universe, because he believed in astrology.
Wow.
And and it was just, there are no words.
So when you had that first reading, and I know you then had a second reading, but what was it that you felt? How did you connect with it? What was it that it woke up within you? Because that's what, if I'm hearing that correctly, it feels like it kind of awakened something within you. Is that real?
But the precision, and she didn't approach it from prediction. She approached it more as a psychologist, which I feel every initial reading should be. Really, it's psychology 101. It's great. I work with, and I've worked with therapists that were able to cut to the chase with understanding the birth chart. And of course, the skilled therapist has all the tools to work on those specific pieces that we're born with, whether they are challenges or as they would say, blessings. Many times the blessings are, open doors that stay closed, but
Right.
astrology makes you aware. But
Right.
coming back to what it was in that session, it was a complete understanding of who I am, being misunderstood so much, of being different, and
Wow.
just understanding all of the planets and how they created how I had lived up until the age of 17.
Ooh. So it's so you're really striking a chord with me right now, and thank you for all this, because I'm really hearing like how so much a part of. I know that we have a lot to talk about here, but just before we move on, there's so much a part of finding one's purpose is about being seen,
Yes.
and right, and this astrologer clearly was able to see something in you through the science of the stars, which just clearly helped you realize, maybe not at that time, I don't know if you would have called it your calling, but what do you, in that
To
moment,
be seen.
you just felt it?
The nail, you hit
Yeah.
it. To
Yeah.
be seen. And it's something that I've taken from that moment to this very present moment. It's
So,
not, to
sorry.
be acknowledged
Yeah. And
and
I
to be
had to,
heard and understood. And that's what astrology really does. And
and so
it allows for freedom, to be free, to be you.
what I'm loving about this moment is that, it would be a very short podcast if you had that reading and then continued to have a successful career as an astrologer.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
And we wouldn't be questioning the meaning of success if that were the case,
That's
because
right.
it just is not linear. There's no straight, we're starting to see there's no straight path. So
At
share
all.
with us, yeah, a few
Wait,
of the sort of rolling hills that occurred throughout the next few years of your life.
but even that makes sense, Marion, because I love that astrology is so deeply in the lexicon today. The young Instagram people posting, but you never really are a complete astrologer because you're always learning. That's one of the signature centerpieces of astrology is progression, is growth.
Right.
But there are specific cycles that you really can't call call yourself an astrologer till at least 44,
Okay, so tell what do you talk about that?
because there are very specific cycles of maturity and wisdom. The Saturn cycles. When you look back, your listeners, over their life, remember what 6 and 7 was like. Remember what 13 and 14 was like. Remember 21, 22, 26 to 29, 37, 41 to 43 to 40, 41 to 44. Those are life altering moments. And of
Wow.
course, without astrology, we say that moment of Neptune squaring Neptune and Uranus opposing your birth Uranus is the midlife crises, the man that goes out and gets a Ferrari and a 24-year-old affair. Or,
Right. Right.
yes.
So, okay, coming back to your journey, once you had this reading and it starts to open your eyes, what'd you do next with your life? You're 17. Where'd you go?
Well, I went to New York from Pittsburgh with nickels in my pocket. I arrived. A very good friend of mine that I had met a year ago, Richard Markovitz, and then he moved to New York, and along with his partner at the time, Miriam, they invited me to stay at their place on Ocean Parkway in Brooklyn. And there I was in New York, studying astrology, but still not found, lost. And it
And
was
what were you?
very, and what I would do, I worked, my first job was at the World Trade Center. I started as a foot messenger. And then I'll never forget, the dispatcher said, "No, you're going to stay in with me. I'm going to make you my assistant." This was in 2 weeks. Like, I know my way around. I do, of course, the sensitivity.
Right.
I thought it was a criticism. I was like, no, I'm trying to get you. But that also makes sense in my chart, the misunderstanding and the sensitivities.
That's even that's so poignant, right? That moment where you thought he was saying that you're not doing the job correctly, and actually he's
Right.
saying, "No, you're doing it too well. Stay
And you
here with
should,
me. I can use you."
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I was restless, and I knew in New York, you could make money, and I had a thirst for travel. So I would temp for 8 months and then go travel. I'd spend summers in Europe and North Africa. Then I stayed in Egypt for a couple of, almost 2 years. But I would always come back to New York and work. And
Mm.
then when the Saturn return hit, it was like, I guess it's time to grow up. This is 28, 29.
Okay. Okay.
So I come back. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I said, well, I I love biking. Let me go back to being a bike messenger. So I did that. And, after a while, you would have certain deliveries that were consistent. And I remember this one receptionist, we would just laugh. And she actually was of course, we built a relationship because she was an extra in Raging Bull. She lived in the Bronx, and I was so fascinated by that.
That's so cool.
My love of movies. But she's like, "Darryl, you're getting too skinny. People are going to think you have AIDS." I was like, "What?" And she extends her, I'll never forget it, Marion. She extends her hand with a card for this agency.
Mm.
I go, it's on Madison Avenue. They immediately send me out, and then they sent me on this assignment to Showtime Networks. And like that initial job at the World Trade Center, within 2 weeks, I was a manager. And then within 7 months, I was, executive junior management.
Amazing.
So, But it all made sense astrologically, and not to speak the language of astrology, but as above, so below.
Uh-huh.
How did this happen? The
Right.
planet of sudden, almost serendipitous change and harmony with my Mercury. I knew nothing about the information systems. And how did I become the
Right.
liaison between that and the marketing department? It was
Now,
magical.
I mean, this is such a great moment because that you're sharing because you're again 28, 29 at this point. Is
Yes,
that correct?
yes,
Okay. So,
hitting 30.
and you suddenly have this
Because I
crazy
remember, I'm
success.
sorry, my sensitivity. One of the permanent workers, you're hitting 30 and you were mad. And I don't realize how sensitive I am and how I remember. I remember everything. I mean,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
time I saw a movie 35 years ago.
Hmm.
But those moments, that sensitivity,
Yeah. You could do a trace all the
yes,
sensitivity driven moments. It's interesting. But you, in that, at that time, so you have this crazy instant success again at this job. And I'm wondering, you're mentioning the stars. Of course, that's where I was meant to be, and not meant to be, that's not the right terminology, but where the stars were aligned in that moment. That makes sense.
yes.
Did you know that at the time? Were you looking at your
Oh, yes.
chart at the time?
Because I was knee deep in studying.
Mm.
Because when I came back from across the ponds and water, I don't want to say it overseas or foreign lands, but whatever, um, I started working out and I really loved physical fitness.
Mm.
And along with biking and running, I used to do Central Park every day at noon, 6.5 miles every day. I loved it. But at the same time, I was knee deep in my astrology classes. And I had this idea because when you learn the various pieces to the chart.
Hmm.
And because my sixth house is very pronounced, it's where I can have outer world success and expansion. It's the house of health and wellness and healing, by the way.
Mm.
You see that in the
Yeah.
charts when it's really pronounced in people in the medical field or spiritual workers who do a lot of philanthropic work. But so I had this idea of astrology and fitness.
So,
And
okay. So,
I start doing everybody in the company's charts,
so
even
you
though
were doing charts,
oh yeah, but not professionally, not
right?
and again, I would hang on to a lesson and I remember my friend who I love her dearly, but she said, "You're so hung up on decans. You keep talking about the decans." I'm like, "Well, that's important."
So, well, so you're doing charts, and this is what year is this?
This we're now in 1992.
Right. So I guess astrology was starting to
Oh
become
yes.
popular, right? Like,
Yes.
I mean, beyond just the 1970s, sort of like, I know it started to get some attention there, but not mainstream, really. I think, especially in the 90s,
But
it started
I
to.
remember on public access, you remember public access,
Mm-hmm.
there was a woman,
Hmm.
and I can't remember her name, an astrologer who did a weekly astrology in the news. And I was fascinated because her concept really
Right.
resonated, even though she didn't use the title as above, so below. She really told the story of the front
Mm.
page with what was going on in the
That's
sky.
cool. That's
And
cool.
at the same time, I was taking classes down on St. Mark's Place in this this walk up, and I was kind of because at the time I wasn't a Madonna fan, and she was obsessed with us focusing on Madonna's chart. And it's like, why do we have to keep talking about Madonna? Sorry, but so, but she was right. She was right. And not
About
to put,
Madonna?
no, because she said she was the one who encouraged me to go out to LA with the idea of Astro Fitness. She said because
Ah,
now that astrocartography, location astrology is now becoming very popular, back then we were talking about it big time, the
right,
lines.
right.
And
Again,
and
so
it
she
wasn't a
believed in
class
you.
just
She
of
saw
it
something.
wasn't, I'm sorry. It wasn't just a class of women. There were all kinds of people in this class every week.
Interesting.
But
Very,
again,
okay, so
and for
yeah,
New York, this wasn't LA. This
right,
was New
right,
York, where
right.
you would think that in New York they would not um, uh, be receptive to an ethereal, ethereal belief system. When in fact, in the closet, everybody on Wall Street is consulting astrologers. Even
I've
back
heard
then.
that. I've heard that before. Is
Oh
that
yeah,
true? That's true.
very, very much so. Very true. In fact, Scaramucci is a big fan of astrology.
Interesting.
I was
Interesting.
shocked when he said, "Oh yeah, I'm a Capricorn with a Gemini moon." I said, "Okay,
Okay. So, okay, so now you've got this concept for Astro Fitness.
yes,
Let's hear about that. What'd you do with it? And to remind, again, we're now about 30 years old, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes." Post, and this is important for people who have their charts done, and they, especially around that cycle of the Saturn and lunar progressed lunar return. People talk about the Saturn return. I found out that those cycles, it's the it's the coda, it's the epilogue where it really kicks in.
Mm,
The return sometimes can be the storm, and when
mm,
you look at famous people that were going through the Saturn return, it was after the success happened. For
mm.
instance, whether it be Nixon, whether it be Streisand
Right.
filming Funny Girl, whatever, and then the else after, not
Interesting.
during. So
Interesting.
it's a tough time. It's
Right.
challenging, but it's rewarding. But that said, so it was post Saturn return, post lunar return. I was, working in a very Virgo progressed energy. I was working, traveling for Showtime, living 6 months of the year out in Utah, which I loved. Loved.
Yeah.
Because again, astrocartography, the lines of the sun right on the ascendant, it was wonderful. And true to my chart, being an oddball, that they could send me to Salt Lake City, a Mormon town. And at that time, we don't need to.
Right. Right.
Most
So,
wonderful,
and
most
you loved
wonderful
it.
experience of my
And
life.
you loved it.
I loved it. And wonderful connection. Loved
Yeah.
it.
Loved it.
Also doing charts of everybody in Salt
And,
Lake City.
and how long were you there for?
Well, that project lasts for almost 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
I would spend sometimes maximum 6 months, but maybe 2 months constantly. It was like Salt Lake was a second home, even
Mm.
though I was living in the city in Manhattan.
Okay.
So everything sort of it ended. The
Mm.
department, it all ended. I, of course, was let go, even though I was saved at the time. And there were other opportunities given. But my friend David Bronstein was very adamant. No, come to California. You have this idea. You can teach. You can synergize the astrology. Nobody's doing this, and so I did it.
And when you say teach what?
Well, I landed in LA like I landed, what was it, maybe 12 years earlier with nickels in my pocket.
Uh-huh.
And from making a nearly, with benefits, a six-figure salary to $6 an hour at the front counter of Crunch on Sunset, where, 8,000 Sunset, where Lana Turner was discovered. But the energy at the time, LA was coming back to life. And when you look, and we don't have time for this, when you look at that time, collectively, what was going on, LA was being reborn. The country
Right.
was being reborn with the internet, reality TV. The
Right.
energy was phenomenal. Uranus was in Aquarius, hence the internet.
So,
And I know that's another language, forgive me, but it speaks volumes for the cell phone, the internet,
so
as
for
above, so below.
reference,
Yes,
just you being at this crunch for $6 an hour on Sunset, which is essentially Hollywood, right?
yes,
So
West
this is
Hollywood. Hmm.
West Hollywood,
But
and
Hollywood,
so
yeah.
you're here. And while you're there, are you? I know you're a film buff. We haven't really spoken about that, but Darryl knows film, and he and
Yeah,
I
I love
have
film.
had lots of discussions about film. We're both film buffs. So I have to ask for selfish reasons here, but you must have been feeling rather starstruck and somewhat inspired being there.
That's really interesting, Marianne. But I fell out of love with the movies when it was in my face.
That's
The
really
way,
interesting.
the way, I had stopped watching TV after what, the last episode of Carol Burnett. I mean, I'm in New York. I'm busy. I'm traveling. I don't mean to be different, but I never saw one episode of The Cosby Show or Seinfeld. Not as a contrarian, but
Mm-hmm.
just is.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, I became friends with a lot of people in the industry.
I'm
My
sure.
my first clients were directors, award-winning directors,
Mm.
very powerful people, heads of studio. In fact, my sensitivity, West Hollywood, I remember because I never, as you know, I don't know how to drive,
Mm-hmm.
never been behind the wheel. I can ride a bike though. But, especially then, people treated you like a vagrant. Like you're
Right.
on a bike. The moment I was seen with the head of the studio, certain people, I was at, oh, what restaurant? Anyway, somebody saw it and they're like, "Your friend." Oh no, I do their lawn just because they suddenly wanted to be friends.
I hope you actually did say that.
I did. Oh, absolutely. I never had a need to.
Mm.
And it was the same, and I'm sorry for jumping the gun. It was the same for the success in with indoor cycling.
Right.
I didn't want to be famous like that
Right.
or successful like that, but forgive me for
But here's the
jumping.
question I have for you, because this is just, I know again, we're jumping a little.
I'm
It's great.
sorry.
This is how it should be. No, this is it's how it should be. It's amazing. And I'm that what you just taught, what you just said, that's not how I wanted success. I'm sorry for not quoting you directly, but it was
Yeah,
something to
that's
that
true.
effect.
No, no, that's beautiful.
And my question is like, is that something, because I find this to be like part of why I'm doing this podcast. It's like, was that something you were aware of in the moment, or is that something you realized about yourself upon reflection?
In the moment, I questioned, am I being a contrarian? Am I jealous?
Right.
Because and no, it
Uh-huh.
wasn't. I'm a dilettante on a bike. If that's how you see me, fine,
Right.
fine.
Right.
Nothing to prove.
So
And for
I
me,
just have to pause
success,
for 1 second. One sec.
success,
Sorry.
yes.
I know you're on to something, just really
No,
quickly, because I just want to say that to me is like a lot of self-confidence that I hear.
yes,
Right. So
yes,
it's not that you're contrarian. It's not that you don't want it. It's just that you're fine the way you are.
yes, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm so sorry for interrupting, but I
No,
just,
no, no, no. But getting back to success, for
hmm.
me, success happened, and I know I didn't complete the story at the front desk, serendipitously start teaching spin. because of an energy another instructor, and they, without question, gave me a class, and then somebody, and then I went to Beverly Hills, and the rest is history, lines, blah, blah, blah. That kind of success. But success for me at that time, both because I was doing astrology and for as a career and teaching. Of course, I was straddling the fence, and I focused more on the physical fitness piece out of fear, because that was consistent. It was
Ah,
consistency.
I see.
But both pieces, the success wasn't aligned to Rodeo Drive or having Matthew Perry in line before they had sign up, or Diana Ross coming and bowing before me. Um, that
Sorry. Diana Ross coming and bowing before you in your class.
Oh, yes. She came into the gym. She heard this. Here I am teaching this noon class. She hears what may have sounded like a revival on 125th Street circa 1966. Do you get the picture? That's
I
the right.
certainly do.
And she comes into this room and sees these pampered Brentwood, Palisades, Beverly Hills women in rapture to the music. She comes up to me and goes, wow, and bows. Comes back on Sunday to take the class.
Oh my gosh. I want
And
everyone
then
to know,
and
I
then she
think,
goes on Access Hollywood and
uh,
says that class, his music, the songs that he played, I hadn't performed in my concert. And she opened with Ease on Down the Road, because
oh,
that's how I opened the class with.
wow.
Because this is before digital. So you remember how we used to walk around either with cassettes
Of course.
or those leather with the CDs.
Yep.
So impromptu. And you know what I loved about that time? And I know, because you're progressed Virgo, even though you're Leo, you love the structure and the numbers. But I love the impromptu of this isn't working. It's that sorry moment when you play a song and it just falls flat.
Yeah.
But there's those moments when you just drop it and it's life altering. It just all comes together.
Yes. So I just need to take 1 second because not everybody who's listening to this knows. First off, when we're talking about indoor cycling, it's spinning and
Yes.
spinning classes. And the time that Darryl's talking about is before spinning became what spinning eventually became, which it is no, no longer, but it did have its moment. And Darryl and I know each other from that world.
Yes, we do.
And he was really ahead of the game in teaching these classes, especially in such an artistic way, because if I may indulge for a moment, when indoor cycling and spinning came to market, it was very athletic. It was very something cyclists would do to train indoors.
Yes.
But then there was a small group of people, Darryl being one of them, in LA in particular, who made it more of an artistic expression. So suddenly it was very odd if you really think, if you put yourself in the shoes of someone who had never experienced it before, it's kind of crazy when you think about it, that there were a bunch of people on bikes riding bikes to rhythm of music. And these instructors, Darryl being one of the forefront of this, would make playlists that were spiritually and emotionally uplifting, and for some, even earth-shattering. For some, they would have literally emotional breakthroughs in a spin class because just quickly, I'll be done after this, but you don't need to move around on a bike. So you can sit there, pedal your legs really fast and sweat to music. And if the instructor says the right thing at the right time, which Darryl often did, it could trigger something inside of you. And since you're not focused on where you are in the room, you could just really release it and release emotions. And I wanted this moment to share that because it's something that Darryl was extremely, and I'm going to use the word successful at. And, he was really one of the pioneers. a very really cool time. And I just wanted to share that because not everyone knows that.
Well, thank you, Marianne. And it was a cool time, but you also innately had it too.
But you in LA, I want to stay there because
Yes,
that was such a
yes,
really, what a
it
time that
really
you were a part
was.
of. Yeah.
It was amazing. And it's interesting though, and I don't want to go off on a tangent, but true to my chart, believe it or not, I can be very Saturnian, Saturn, structure, order. But I also was blessed with the planet Mercury and Neptune, where it seems like, the person that goes to the piano without any lessons in plays.
Yeah, I could see that with you. Yeah.
And perhaps one of my flaws is the sensitivity, but it really irked me that people saw me as the person doing push-ups and all of this stuff. And I have nothing against it, but I never did that.
So you're talking about like dancing on the bike.
Yeah, we moved but it was, the body became one with the music. That's why I said the
Right.
music is, but I never did the
Yeah.
Bob, I didn't go Bob Fosse on the bike. I just didn't. I didn't.
Okay. Sorry.
But
So,
a lot of people, they didn't understand in that quiet moment. It felt like we were doing that, but I never did that.
that's very interesting to hear you say that
I
because
never did that.
if I may, just to make sure everyone understands that what Darryl's alluding to is that there was a movement that occurred within the spinning and indoor cycling world where people started doing really strange movements on the bike. I mean, but it became a thing and choreography on the bike. But what's really cool that you just said is that you had them doing that in their head, not
Yes,
actually physically endangering their bodies, but doing it in their head. That's super cool, Darryl. I've never heard it said like that before.
because again, Saturn, time, the understanding of the physical body, Mars and Pluto in my chart in the first house, understanding breathing, just physical fitness 101. Bring them here, level it out. It's an orchestration. And to me, I also approach astrology that way. The universe is perfect. Mercury retrograde is perfect. The way God, the universe, has composed us, it's perfect. Astrology brings awareness, so we are on the beat of our life.
That's okay. And it's a wrap. So, wow, thank you. That was beautiful. So, wow.
But I missed out the part that once I became
Yes.
a fitness instructor, I was blessed with Crunch doing a paid, almost personal training session called Fitness, where I would do an assessment of the client's chart, refer them to the right trainer and the right workout regimen based on their chart.
That's awesome.
That was when I really felt successful for the first time in my life. I couldn't
Wow.
believe it.
So, and first off, shout out to Crunch for always just, I don't know, putting a little
It's
extra
amazing.
belief into, they always lean
Yes.
into the cutting edge.
Yes. And
To,
to
to
this day,
this day.
I'm friends with Miss Diamond and Miss Lisa Mortman. They championed me. They gave, it was wonderful. A Virgo and a Pisces.
So, so this, you just said that was the first time in your life that you felt truly successful.
Absolutely. And
And
not
so,
afraid. And not afraid.
I'm not afraid. Wow. So before
Because I
we,
was afraid in New York with that corporate job because I felt I had, even though I was very good at it, I felt because of people not understanding how did this happen? Where did he come from?
right.
So it was almost like, I hate this word, but it resonates with people. Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I knew you were going there. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
You know, these cliches that
Of
come
course.
into the lexicon between that and gaslighting. I've had
I
it.
I know it's so annoying because they really are perfect at times. They just tend to get overused. Okay, so amazing. So you're feeling this. This is the first time you felt truly successful. What do you do next? What does one do when they feel I'm here? This was my creation. I'm being acknowledged. I'm being compensated. Like as to the pun intended, and it works here. The stars aligned. And what do you do next?
Well, I you you go back and you make mistakes. You look at your chart, you realize that there's some real old wounds there, you know. And I invite your listeners to go to my Substack at some point and read those moments of old wounds during the adolescent crises.
Highly
And
recommend, and we'll send them there.
even though I'm this 13-year-old kid on a 50,000 watt, 100,000 watt radio station doing movie reviews with Leonard Maltin as a guest, sparring with him at 13. Leonard Maltin, I could,
So cool.
but still not secure. Like all of these magical things happening. And it was magical. I didn't believe it. And LA, LA, it felt like I was 17 and going to the prom for the first time. I'm out every night. I was at every wonderful restaurant, events, movie premieres, always taking care of myself, but focused more on the consistency that teaching gave me, even though I have 2 Academy Award winning actors, directors, and I still didn't believe it.
Yeah.
So, and when it would get slow with astrology, I just disappeared and just enjoyed the sun. So I will always be grateful for the location of Pittsburgh and New York, of Saturn opposing my sun, because it made me dig in. And with nothing, zero. And I did that. I did that in LA too, long before the influencers. All I did, Marianne, with Uranus in the sky in harmony with Mercury, communication, publicity, I call up the LA Times. I called up the BBC. I'm doing this class, Astrologer. Okay. People spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for
Yeah.
that. MSNBC.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't believe
Wow.
it. I couldn't believe it. This kid from the north side of Pittsburgh, Fineview, is out in LA, and the director of blah, blah, blah.
But am I hearing correctly that you knew this was what you wanted, you knew you had achieved success, but you couldn't believe it?
I couldn't believe
So
it.
that ends up sort of how do you respond? How do you react to that? That's when you go and you hide, or
I hide, and I also, the pictures of 2003 to my body, it was, was crazy. It's like a 21-year-old. It was crazy,
yeah,
but it was also to keep people away.
right, right.
Um,
So at this point, how old are you now?
I'm I'm 40, I'm hitting 45, but feeling like I was 17.
Right.
Seriously. Biking, biking from, Crunch. I was still the opening manager, getting there at 4:30, off at 10:30, 11 o'clock, biking out to Venice Beach every day. On the
Right.
beach that was my idea. Why do it? Your own body weight. And I still, when I look back at that time, nobody was doing your own body weight.
Right.
And I was in incredible shape. But
So
also that was a part of my astro fitness idea. that it
Right.
starts with the physical body.
So what's your next, where do you go next after this?
Well, um, you know Allison Cohen, don't you?
Yeah.
So she's this teenager. She walks into Beverly Hills, my Friday night, as I like to call it, that Shabbat Shalom class where it was, you couldn't get in. She manages to get in. Soul Cycle had just opened. She goes and tells Julie and Elizabeth, she says, this guy's unreal. Julie, I go to New York. Julie immediately, and Elizabeth. It was unbelievable to this day, throwing money like I've never seen before at me for teaching a class. It was, again, it didn't feel successful, maybe. It wasn't the money. The success in my class was those moments, either by message or when someone would come up and say, my child 3 months ago committed suicide in your class. I don't know what it is. That's when I felt successful in the
Mhm.
fitness world.
You mean when they would come share with you
Yes.
something? So my
How
child
the,
committed suicide and I'm talking to you about this. I feel
yes.
safe with you. Right. Yeah, that's very powerful.
Not successful in an
I understand.
egomaniacal way,
Right.
forgive me, but that I was able, through the music is not an accident, understanding the collective energies from above. I know that might sound up there in the clouds, but so be it. That's who I am. And that's when I got in front of a group of bikes. That's
Yeah.
what I brought.
You created a safe space.
Yes. And it was
Um,
real. It was real.
yeah.
Marian, it wasn't about you know the beautiful people. Come on, you had them.
Yeah.
I looked out there and maybe, and forgive me speaking the language of astrology again, but maybe sometimes, my Leo moon, Leo rising, Leo North Node, I can be very imperialistic and say, well, I'm not that instructor that is trying to, forgive my language, get laid.
Right.
I'm pure. I
Right.
have the most beautiful people in the palm of my hand, literally and figuratively. Beautiful people, but we're all as one. And it just, when I would get pushback, envy, whatever from, but if someone told me, Darryl, you should know better, you're an astrologer. People are who they are. And I should have known better. But that, and I'm not going to hide behind astrology, but that imperialistic, well, I'm better than that, you know,
Right.
I really love these people. I love them. I don't want anything. I'm not trying to get the girl, the boy, whatever. I really love this. I love it.
So that
Marian,
did you,
Marian, I loved it. And there were some beautiful people and carrots were constantly being dangled.
absolutely.
And that
Did
was
you
like,
did you move to New York at this point?
yes,
Okay. So you're living in New York, and you're having success
yes.
as a spin instructor. You're not doing Astro Fitness though at this point, right? Not
No, I'm
right,
not.
right, because you're working for
Yes.
yeah.
6
And
classes a day.
are you still reading? Are you doing
Uh,
charts?
oh, yes. But
Okay.
maybe 2 or 3 every other week. Still straddling the fence, not trusting it.
Right. And so at this point you've had several successes,
Very.
quite
You couldn't
honestly.
get in. I have a photo of two doctors in the operating room. This is when they finally got sign on, trying to get into my class. This picture, literally almost as if they stopped surgery
Right.
with their, what do they call them? Scrubs
Yes,
on.
there's scrubs.
Such a great picture.
That's great.
But even that didn't make me feel, it
Right.
wasn't, and I'm not being funny, that didn't make me feel successful. It was the connection, the real pure connection of people throughout the city. And I would hear things, Marion, that would really disturb me, really disturb me. Racial things. I'm not saying racist. Oh, you have black people, you've got gay people, you've got white. I
Right.
was like, what?
Yeah.
That was disturbing to me.
Yeah.
That once again, you try to fit a person born with Uranus on the ascendant in a box.
Right.
So
So,
I didn't feel successful.
okay, so that if we can, where are you now today?
Successful
I wasn't expecting that. That's fantastic. Okay,
and
tell
proud of
me.
it.
Yeah, what are you doing?
My
And how'd you
astrologer.
get here? I know we just did a big leap, but
Of course, they'll have to read the book, Cycling with the Moon and Stars. How's
yeah.
that?
But
Coming
I
to
mean,
Netflix 2028.
basically, because at one point you stopped teaching cycling.
Hmm.
And as always, as we can confidently say after, especially while listening to this conversation, you quit cycling before cycling quit. So you stopped teaching indoor cycling. And then, I know that you've done, I don't want to speak for you, but you've been through some stuff in the in between, and now you're
Yes,
here. And
absolutely. Absolutely. I returned to those old wounds.
yeah.
That
Did you do
was,
that purposefully, or did it just kind of where you landed into something and you had to deal?
I did it with open heart, even though, why would I leave California and go to Pittsburgh? I, nothing against Pittsburgh, but as Rosalind Russell said in Auntie Mame, when you're from Pittsburgh, you've got to do something.
Well, your dogs hear you questioning Pittsburgh, and they are the reason why you
That's
ultimately
right.
landed in
That's
Pittsburgh.
right.
So they're upset
That's
about
right.
that. How dare you question Pittsburgh?
That's right. You know what? It's wonderful.
You wouldn't have found us.
That's right. That's right.
So,
And in the language of astrology, it was a return to points of trauma and healing.
and as
And
you,
at
sorry,
the same time, there was opportunity for astrology to be front and center for the first time.
let's go. So tell us about that. How'd that happen?
Well, a client and a friend who from Equinox introduced me to a very successful, she used to be on air at MTV, and she now has a very successful podcast called Deeply Well. Well, I was her guest. She puts out, this was 3 years ago, it drops. Laura London, Nipsey Hussle's widow, repost the episode, and I've been busy ever since.
Fantastic. Deeply
And
Well with
just growing.
Debbie Brown, correct?
Debbie Brown,
It's a
Deeply
great
Well.
podcast.
Phenomenal. A
Yeah,
phenomenal,
highly recommend.
phenomenal human being.
Yeah, I'm sure. Wow. So what, okay, that was only 3 years ago. My.
Yes.
And it's just been an upward trend since
My
then.
second Saturn return.
So,
What
Darryl, this
what
is,
what didn't I learn over those 30 years? It always comes around, and that's something for your listeners to understand.
well, that's what I'm
Contrary,
hearing.
contrary to contrary to F. Scott Fitzgerald, there are second acts.
Yeah, I mean, so clearly your story is just full of them. And, it's like
The cycles.
there isn't
The
one piece of your
cycles.
story that doesn't make sense, right? It just completely makes sense. Even though if you were to pin it on a map, you'd go, what is this person doing?
Right. You
But
know what
when,
the piece that I didn't leave out when I talk about the cycles, the bike, the chart looks like a wheel. It is a wheel.
yeah,
What was my one and only connection with my father at 6 when Saturn formed its first aspect with my birth Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
He comes with a bike, and in a very stoic way, I respond to his question, do you need me to help you?
Stop it.
No, I can do it myself. My mother was like, your father says you don't like him. I said, I don't know him. I said,
Wow.
I don't,
And your dad, was he present in your life?
no, not at all.
Not at all.
And it was,
Wow.
not to, like I said, you can read the book, but my mother said something very important on her deathbed. You never wanted to talk about him, but he was the love of my life.
Oh, wow. Whew.
Yeah. But
Okay. Before
but that's
we,
one of those cycles. It all comes back to the bike.
yeah, in your
The
life, it
the
does.
wheel and
Yeah.
and being on the beat,
Mm-hmm.
singing, because I mean it, Marian, our charts are the most beautiful composition you'll ever see. Astrology allows us to sing in the right key of our life. Thank you, Stevie Wonder. Now,
So, Darryl, after all of this and hearing all of this, and I can't wait to, I mean, before we move to this last question, I need everybody to please get a reading with Darryl. I cannot recommend it any more highly. Just please treat yourself to a reading with Darryl, and you will see yourself in a way that is so real, and you'll understand things about yourself that you thought you understood, and you'll understand even better. It's really, and it has, no offense to Darryl, it has nothing to do with, he's the vessel. And
absolutely.
that's what's, and of course his voice, the whole affectation is incredible and an experience of its own. But having your chart read by him is really special. But what I want to ask you, Darryl,
Yes.
is how do you define success?
Never giving up. I know that may sound like a cliche.
No.
Persistence, consistency. That's when you're at your most successful. When you're in the deepest valley, because you never know success until you've been in the deepest valley. You never will know success until you're in there, taking the bumps, taking the major, major disappointments. And we all, whether friend or foe, none of us escape it. Not with 5 nickels or with 5 billion. We don't escape it.
Boom. So powerful.
But yeah, really, Marianne, success is staying in there.
Yeah.
It's Barry
Yeah.
Gibb staying alive. Isn't that amazing for CPR? We do that.
Totally.
Isn't that? Wow.
Yes. So, wow, Darryl, thank you. You
Thank
are such
you.
a force, and I'm so blessed to have you in my life. I've always just I love you so much, goes without saying, and this is so great. For those of you who do not know Darryl, you must find him on Substack at Guiding Planet, correct?
Yes, Daryl Gaines.
Darryl
Uh,
Gaines.
yeah, I'm the only Daryl Gaines on Substack. I'm sorry, I don't have the exact, but you can always,
We'll post
yeah,
everything, by the
yeah, you
way.
can always feel free if you have a question, go to my site, but also directly email me at guidingplanet@gmail or go to
Awesome.
my website and you know,
Yeah, and if you for some reason anybody listening to this can't get in touch with Darryl, if you forgot his email or whatever, just shoot me a comment. I'll link you. It's so worth it, and definitely find him on Substack. His stories are incredible, and I cannot wait for that book.
yeah, I just love the creative, it's as you know, being a creative soul, it's time.
Yeah,
It's time just for everyone to know we're all under the same sheltering sky.
mm,
This configuration of Neptune and Saturn together in Aries is, I mean, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but it's a collective altering of our consciousness. And you and what you're doing speaks volumes for it. So Marian, I'm so happy for you. And the feeling is so mutual of love and knowing the time is now. And everyone, you know, we're all sharing this amazing, amazing collective shift in consciousness and understanding.
Couldn't agree more. It's a great time to be alive.
Yes,
Yeah. Thank you,
it really
Darryl.
is. Thank you.
Mwah.